Have you ever wondered what the absolute limit of human endurance is? What happens when a person is pushed to the very edge of survival, with everything imaginable going wrong? Today, we're diving into what is arguably the single greatest survival story in human history. It's a tale of shipwreck, starvation, and a seemingly impossible journey against all odds. This is the story of Sir Ernest Shackleton and the crew of the Endurance. Our story begins in 1914. While the world was teetering on the brink of the First World War, one man had a different, colossal ambition: to be the first to cross the entire Antarctic continent on foot. That man was Sir Ernest Shackleton, a seasoned polar explorer. He assembled a crew of 27 men, hand-picked for their skills and resilience, and set sail from England aboard a ship aptly named Endurance. Their goal was the Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition. As they sailed south into the Weddell Sea, the gateway to their Antarctic landing spot, the situation grew dire. The sea, usually navigable in the summer, was choked with unusually dense pack ice. The Endurance, a sturdy vessel built for the poles, battled its way through, but the ice was relentless. In January 1915, just one day's sail from their destination, the ship became hopelessly trapped. The ice closed in around the hull like a giant vise. The crew were now prisoners of the frozen sea, their ship stuck fast. For months, the men waited, hoping the spring thaw would release their ship. They turned the Endurance into a winter station, maintaining a routine of scientific observations and even playing football on the ice to keep their spirits up. But the pressure from the shifting ice floes was immense. The creaking and groaning of the ship's timbers was a constant, terrifying soundtrack. Then, in October 1915, the inevitable happened. The pressure became too much. The Endurance's hull was breached and the ship began to break apart. Shackleton gave the order to abandon ship. The men watched in silence as their home, their link to the outside world, was slowly crushed and swallowed by the ice. They were now truly alone, stranded on a floating sheet of ice in the middle of the most hostile environment on Earth. They had salvaged what they could: 3 small lifeboats, sledges, and provisions. Their new home was a makeshift camp on the ice, which they named Patience Camp. Shackleton's leadership now shone brighter than ever. He understood that his primary mission was no longer exploration, but the survival of every single one of his men. He kept them busy, maintained strict discipline, and ensured morale never completely collapsed, despite the bleakness of their situation. For 5 months, they drifted on the ice floe, at the mercy of the ocean currents. But their temporary home was not permanent. The ice began to break up beneath them. The moment they had dreaded had arrived. They had to take to the open, treacherous sea in their 3 small, open lifeboats. Their target was a remote, uninhabited speck of land called Elephant Island, hundreds of miles away. The journey was a nightmare. For 7 days they rowed through icy waters, battered by freezing waves and Antarctic gales. They were soaked to the bone, suffering from frostbite and dehydration, with killer whales occasionally surfacing ominously close to their small boats. The men were pushed to their physical and mental breaking points. Miraculously, through sheer grit and expert navigation by their captain, Frank Worsley, they landed on Elephant Island. It was the first time they had stood on solid ground in 497 days. But their ordeal was far from over. Elephant Island was a barren, inhospitable rock, far from any shipping lanes. No one would ever find them there. Rescue was not coming to them. They had to go and get it. Shackleton made an almost unthinkable decision. He would take 5 of his best men and attempt to sail one of the lifeboats, the 22-foot James Caird, across 800 miles of the most violent ocean on the planet, the Drake Passage, to the whaling stations on South Georgia Island. The remaining 22 men would be left behind on Elephant Island, under the command of his second-in-command, Frank Wild, to wait and hope. The journey of the James Caird is a legend in its own right. 6 men, crammed into a tiny boat, faced hurricane-force winds and mountainous waves. The boat was constantly coated in a thick layer of ice that threatened to capsize it, forcing the exhausted men to crawl out onto the deck to chip it away. They navigated using only a sextant and a chronometer, taking sightings of the sun in fleeting moments between storms. It was a testament to Captain Worsley's genius that after 16 harrowing days, they spotted the shores of South Georgia. But even then, their struggle continued. They had landed on the wrong side of the island, the uninhabited mountainous side. The whaling stations were on the other side. With the James Caird too battered to risk another sea journey, Shackleton, Worsley, and one other man, Tom Crean, were forced to make one final desperate push. They would have to cross the island's unmapped, glacier-covered interior on foot, a journey no one had ever attempted before. With nothing but 50 feet of rope and screws hammered into their boots for grip, the three men set off. For 36 continuous hours, they climbed treacherous peaks and navigated deadly crevasses, fueled by little more than determination. In a moment of pure desperation, facing a steep, fog-covered descent, they coiled their rope and slid down a snowy slope, gambling everything. Finally, exhausted and looking like wild men, they stumbled into the Stromness whaling station. The whalers who saw them were stunned into silence, barely recognizing these figures as human. Shackleton's first words were not of his own suffering, but of the men he left behind. "My name is Shackleton," he said. "I have come from Elephant Island." Immediately, Shackleton began organizing a rescue. It took 3 failed attempts, thwarted by the impenetrable sea ice, before he finally found a ship capable of breaking through. On August 30th, 1916, nearly 2 years after the Endurance first became trapped, Shackleton sailed into Elephant Island. Frank Wild and his men saw the ship approaching. They lit a signal fire, and as the boat drew closer, they could make out a familiar figure standing at the bow. It was their boss. Shackleton called out across the water, "Are you all well?" Wild shouted back, "All safe, all well." Not a single man had been lost. The story of Shackleton and the Endurance is more than just a tale of survival. It's a masterclass in leadership, resilience, and the indomitable power of the human spirit. In the face of absolute despair, Shackleton's unwavering optimism and his total commitment to his crew turned a catastrophic failure into one of history, his greatest triumphs of life over death. Every single man who set out on the Endurance came home. It remains a powerful reminder that even when all seems lost, courage, teamwork, and hope can achieve the impossible. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey today. If you found this story as inspiring as we do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more tales of amazing human endeavor. Let us know in the comments what you think is the most incredible part of Shackleton's story. Until next time, stay curious.